Chat to show here. No, that's maybe not. Oh, yeah, there I go. Okay, so now I have chat on the right side. So if I see any questions, I'll see if I can pop in an answer, or otherwise we'll take it at the end. This presentation here is about how Ghost Ship Games got funded. So it will mostly focus on the initial years of Ghost Ship Games. We are have been in business now for a bit over 4 years, so it will mostly be on the early years where where funding was the most critical. But it will lead into the current situation as well. So just to be clear, this is of course about us developing the game Deep Rock Galactic. I guess most of you by now will at least have seen the logo and know about the game. Basically, it's these 4 loving dwarfs you can see here digging for gold on an alien planet, and it's a 4-player co-op shooter with main focus for us to release in early access on Steam, but also we have it on Xbox, and now we are out of early access and have enjoyed great success with this game. This is not so much about the game, this presentation, but about how we made sure that we could create the game. So today, Deep Rock Galactic, or the Ghost Ship game, sorry, consists of a larger number of developers. We are all of these lovely people, even more than you can see in the picture. More precisely, we are today 23 employees, and the running the company costs around 1.1 million Danish kroner a month, maybe a little more if I start to actually calculate with the latest hires. Last year, we had a revenue of 25 million Danish kroner. This year will be substantially better, as we have sold quite a lot since we launched. We are currently the company currently has 1 minority investor. That's Coffee Stain, and we'll come back to that, of course. And the current situation for status, I just tallied up that we just crossed 1.75 million units sold of Deep Rock Galactic, which still is kind of mind-blowing to us. So this is where we are today, but what this is about is how it all started, and that looked like this. So back in April 2016, Press Play was closed down by Microsoft, and the situation was kind of lucrative for starting something new because Microsoft allowed the employees to just start up whatever they wanted, and they had the salary still coming in for 3 to 6 months. So you can spot me on the right, this lovely crew. The 5 people on the left were from Press Play, and then I joined in 1 month after to take the role of as CEO. So knew that it would be an expensive project. We also, as you can see, are people up in age, so we have children and family and house and stuff to pay. So we needed some real money. So we couldn't just live on ramen noodles or stuff like that. We did move in a small office. This was our office for the first month. Could just fit 6 developers in here, and here we developed the first prototypes and the pitches. The first pitch looked like this. We got this thing together about how to promote the game, how to promote our company. And I spent a lot of time looking at the concept. At first, we thought that procedural generated content could be cool, but then No Man's Sky kind of showed us that that was maybe not a cool thing to talk about at that point. Not that No Man's Sky wasn't a success, but it was just a lot of people were getting fed up with procedural generated content. So we ended up focusing much more on the co-op aspect of the game and said, okay, let's call it co-op first. And it's been a really successful way of both promoting our company and the game, and it's something that Ghost Ship Games is now known for. So I can highly recommend finding a simple vision that you can tag on to your company when you go out and present stuff to investors. So this was kind of a sell sheet that we created to get the first attention, and we created a very early crude blocky demo, just putting things together and get something playable up and running, so we could show at least something and get some progress. So this was the very first thing we did on that, April 2016, and then we tried to find some investors. And the first attempt at this was an event in Aarhus. I think it was called Growing Investors, inspired by Growing Games or something. And it featured 6 startups, and we snuck in to this in the very last minute, because they really wanted a game startup. And I showed this demo you just saw and a short presentation, and we learned a lot, because we got absolutely no response from the 100 investors that were there. They flocked to all the other startups, and we were like, okay, we need to up our game on this. But we still learned a lot about how to speak with investors and what they were looking at. This is, of course, also extremely early. We didn't even have a company. We were just there with this promotion material. No traction, nothing. Then we talked to Capnova, and that was initially our bet to get money. They had already shown some interest, and now we got into a actual meeting with them. We could present stuff, and again, it was difficult to present the game because it was so early. But we focused a lot on presenting the team. Us 6 founders together, we had more than 100 years of development between us, so we could really kind of underline that the chances of success was better than your average startup. Parallel to our discussions with Capnova and our hope to get an investment from them, we had a application to Spilordningen, and we actually got a yes on this. But it was a yes with some conditions. We needed some other money, and that other chunk of money had to be really substantial, because, as you can see, we got the maximum out of Spilordningen, 1.5 million. So we needed the Capnova deal to also go through, which put us a little bit in a spot, because Capnova kind of knew this, so they had a even more bargaining advantage on this one. But we were still, of course, quite happy to get Spilordningen to support us. We had a fear that our game was too commercial, but there was definitely some goodwill in this as well, and some investment from them in the team at this point. We also reached out to some other investors, specifically Nordisk Film and London Venture Partners. So Nordisk Film, you can see Mikkel Weider there. We heard rumors that they were just starting up some kind of games fund, games investment fund. So we took a meeting with Mikkel, and he was very cool and very interested, but he was also very honest and said, "This is too early. I don't even have a fund yet. I'm not even employed in this yet, but it's just starting right now." So we were too early on this, but at least we had made the contact and got some good feedback. And then I talked to David Gardner from London Venture Partners. London Venture Partners has invested in Beta Dwarf here in Denmark, and they're very professional. They've been in a lot of game startups, and they take good care of their ventures. But they were also skeptical because we did not have any traction yet. They also wanted to know about the connection with the Microsoft setup, that the company consisted of 5 people coming from Press Play that was just closed down, and was Microsoft in any way interested in what we were doing, and not in a positive way necessarily. So there was some skepticism, and it was perfectly understandable. So we had to shelve both of these options. Then we took on a summer vacation. We still had no company, we still had no money, but as you can see, we had high hopes. And then after summer vacation, things with Capnova, basically an investment deal. They went in with 3.5 million Danish kroners, and we got a big contract, but it was also big in a bad way, since it had a lot of wordings in it that was trying to protect Capnova, obviously, from what could go wrong. So as soon as we had that contract, our next goal was, how can we get rid of that contract? And it's not that we didn't like Capnova at all. It was just like that contract, the terms and that was not good for our future. And Capnova is at that point, of course, they don't exist as this anymore. They only exist as taking care of their portfolio. They're not investing anymore, but they were there for the seed, for starting up stuff. They were not there for the long run. So we needed a partner that could be there for the long run and could be more clever money, as you say. So this was, of course, a really pivotal moment, because now we were in business. We had a company. We could start hiring people, but it also triggered a new round of work for me and Mikkel, who also helped out a lot on all this getting money, getting funding, and we needed to go shopping. So we started preparing new pitches. We also moved office space, so we were still in what was then called the Orbit, which is now called Univate. This is an office space under Symbion out at Copenhagen University. As you can see, slightly larger, and now we have hired a few more people, which started to actually feel like a real company. Then we developed the tech, and at this point, what you're seeing here is actually the tech that is used in the game today, at least in terms of the terrain. How the terrain works and what we can do with the terrain. The lighting in this small snippet here is actually somewhat better than we have in the game, and one of the reasons is that it uses a lot of very expensive shadows that we cannot use in the game, and that also has some impact on how the gameplay actually works. So sometimes when we look at this, we're like, oh, it was so pretty back then. But this demo here was very important for us towards showcasing that we actually had a game now, a prototype for a game. So we took this with us and created some trailers based on it as well. And then we traveled to Seattle in October 2016. And back then there was still Steam Greenlight. So we desperately wanted to avoid Steam Greenlight and just get an in and just get a store page without having to go through the Steam Greenlight process. And we pulled some strings, got through our network, got in contact with a rep from Valve, and met him here at the Steam Dev Days conference. It's the last Steam Dev Days that has been held, so I hope they will return to it. It was really, really cool because it was just developers, no publishers, no third party, no one else but the developers and the Steam people. So that was really cool. But we got the app ID for Deep Rock Galactic, which was what we came for. But we also started to get a few contacts and some people that were like, this looks really cool what you're doing. We got a sense that we were moving in the right direction with the project. Then we actually got alert to Game Connection by the two people you see on the right side in this picture, Jakob and Mikael. They were going down there and asked us if we should share a setup, and then we said yes. That's fine. We don't have someone, and could as well commit the other half. And that turned out to be a really good decision because we actually thought this would be like a dry run for pitching to at GDC half a year later. But it turned out that the pitch that we had, this very procedurally generated terrain, co-op, shooter, Steam early access, community focus. There was a lot of boxes we checked that the publishers were looking for, even though they didn't really know exactly how to engage with Steam early access. they were very intrigued by what was going on there. So we ended up with a lot of one of them to Microsoft, which had kind of dropped this project internally, closed down, press play, and then we started it up again. And now they said they wanted to buy us if they could, and we were totally floored by this. And like, oh, okay, this is insane. But then in the same sentence they said, but you should say no and just keep working, and they will do an ID at Xbox deal with you someday. And that was really cool and gave us a lot of encouragement. But still, we still needed to actually more find an investor than a publisher, because we had a good idea that we could publish the game ourselves, but we needed an investor to take over the Capnova part, and of course could also use some more money to beef up the ambitions. So after this meeting, after this journey to Paris with Game Connection, we went back and did some thinking. We had a lot of options on our hands. We tried a few of them. People, some publishers that were extremely eager and that were starting to, very, very biased towards us, like really, really good terms for us. One of them just said that's a very, very poor offer, and that was fair on his part. And the other said, yeah, maybe we can meet somewhere. And then we knew that, okay, we also have some good negotiation positions here towards the publishers that we really want to deal with. So we moved on with our plans to start interacting with the community. And the chance that we got here was kind of random. We ended up getting an option to showcase the game at DreamHack in the middle of Sweden. And DreamHack is this original, that's the original DreamHack that happens there with 10,000 people joining for a weekend, playing LAN, playing games, mostly just PvP, but yeah, just playing a lot of games. And there's not a lot of people showcasing games, but we got the spot in one of the tech setups at SteelSeries. And what you see here is actually the Swedish army that was there recruiting some of these young people, and they tried out our game. I thought it was really cool co-op exercise for them. And this exercise, this showcasing it to the public for the first time, that taught us a lot of things, and it also got us even more like interested in collaborating with the community as early as possible. But it also got us a chance to meet up with some Swedish developers, more specifically Coffee Stain. So Coffee Stain on the left side here is a Swedish game developer that made most of their initial money on Goat Simulator. Now they've also done Satisfactory, so they're just continuing on success. And they were venturing into doing publishing. They did not have published anything at this point other than their own games, but they wanted to create an indie publisher. They also had done some investments, and we thought this was really interesting. So we started to bargain with Coffee Stain and said that maybe you could go in and get a part of us, get a part of Deep Rock Galactic. They were very, very eager to jump into the Deep Rock Galactic adventure. Then on the other side, when we oh, I'm getting some noise in from someone. All right. Then on the other side, from when we went home, we got in contact with Nordisk Film again and got them to try the game. And then at this point, they had hired in Martin Wolfish, and they were really starting to get serious. And when they tried our demo, they were basically just saying, "Okay, how much money do you want?" And we were like, "Okay, that's now we're talking." But then when they got a little bit more real on it, they had the thing that they that they also wanted to not necessarily buy out Capnova, but to go into some kind of relation with Capnova. That was a little bit problematic for us, but we still kept the conversation going. While talking with these money people, we also moved on with the game. We got it out in December 2016 on Steam in an alpha version, so just delivering out keys, and now it got more real. This also resulted in first big streamer picking it up, Blitz, and he created more than 100,000 views across Christmas 2016, and that definitely proved to us that we were onto something. We had something on our hands here that was sellable. So it gave us a better position in the negotiations. To make sure that Coffee Stain could be a right partner for us, we drove all the way up to Kode in the middle of Sweden and visited them. I went out and had a dinner with them and saw the studio and all checked out. They were just cool developers, same mindset as we had, so everything was good. So we went back and now tried to figure out this puzzle piece. And in the end, we knew that the goal was to get rid of Capnova. So when we went back to our strategic meeting, we said let's double down on Coffee Stain. They really want to get in as a publisher. Let's say that they can do that if they get in as an investor as well and buy out Capnova. And that deal eventually worked out. Actually, now knowing how long these types of deals takes, it was extremely fast. I think within 3 weeks everything was done. It was super intense, but because all parties were cooperating and had kind of the same goal, we ended up with this double deal, both an investment, them buying out Capnova, and then on the side a publishing agreement that we still have with Coffee Stain. So with this merry picture here, we could now celebrate being even more in business than before. Because the good thing about Coffee Stain was that there was a much easier source of money because they were now really invested into this project. So they wanted to keep sharing the risk and add more money to the project, so we could continue staffing up. They had also at that point actually already secured some space at the GDC and PAX, and that. Was part of the publishing deal that they would pay for that. So we were really excited to give it all we could. And as you can see on the right side, we built big setups showcasing the game, and it just it felt right. We were very hopeful that a lot of journalists would flock around us and be really eager to try out the game. That turned out to not be the case. And actually, the journalists pretty much ignored us, though we did see a lot of fans that came by and got a lot of recognition from them on the whole dwarf theme. But it did give us some considerations on how to promote this game to media. Back home, we moved office once again. This is from Univate, Copenhagen University, and we hired a few more people based on the new funding we got. Because of this connection we had with Microsoft, and because of this realization that media was maybe ignoring us because of the early access part and just being a PC game, we ended up with Coffee Stain in re-engaging with Microsoft. They were really eager to get us into ID at Xbox, and Microsoft still have this program called Game Preview, which is very similar to early access on Steam, just on console. So Coffee Stain signed a deal with Microsoft, and we signed a deal with Coffee Stain, getting some more funding so we could develop an Xbox version to be released alongside the Steam version. And this was also to make sure the game was mature for consoles moving into the future. So it had kind of a double benefit on that. Then on the side, we had the Unreal dev brand, and we got that approval. It wasn't a lot of money; it was $20,000, but it still meant a lot to get the approval from Unreal and from Epic, and strengthened our connections to Epic, which are still, of course, really good. Then in June, we started to see some really big promotion showcases. First of all, in the upper right corner, you have Xbox at E3 in 2017, showcasing the game just next to Players Unknown Battleground and PlayerUnknown's Battleground. And then we got a lot of attention on that. And then Lyric, a big Twitch streamer, he saw that, and then we gave him some keys, and then he gave us doubled up on all the attention, and our wish list was skyrocketing. So this collaboration with Microsoft, getting on the big stage was really starting to show off. Through Coffee Stain, we got ÖKS to showcase the game, which their viewers had a lot of shared interest in the game. So that also paid off. Again, collaborating with partners that have good connections can mean more than just the money they put in. And then on our own hands, we did an open alpha test where we just gave a lot of keys away and for the alpha version of the game. It worked really, really well. Then just before we were going to launch, we were approached by NetEase, a big Chinese publisher and investor, and they wanted to create a new PC platform in China for premium games. And they went in and say, hey, here's a sum of money. If you will sign here, then in a year or two, you can get your game into China on a very lucrative big platform that we'll promote the hell out of. And we talked with Coffee Stain, and we figured out that it might be worth taking a chance on. It seems to be a bit into the future, anyways. So we signed a deal. It's not actually the deal you see here, but it's the logo. So we signed that, and then we kind of forgot about it. But that was still again proof of that people believed in the game. Then we released an early access, and Polygon was nice to give us this remark here, which we used on our store page. And we got a lot of people that went in and bought the game. It was for us basically an instant success. Within 2 days, everything that we had received as advanced money was paid back in full, and everything from on was profit for Workship games. But as you can also see, the curve, of course, goes down pretty quickly. But again, collaborating with an experienced publisher and developer like Coffee Stain here, they could tell us that we shouldn't worry. We'll just play the Steam discount game, and we did. And we sold a lot more copies by going on various discount and promoting the game on Steam. And we started to believe that this game could carry itself, and it could carry Workship. So we moved office again, and this is where we're still sitting. You see the yellow building on the right side, up in the first floor, where we are now fitting in these 20 plus developers. It's getting a little bit squeezed. So yeah, we hope we can stay there for a while, because it's a really, really nice place. But we hired more people as well, as you can see. Then something happened out of the blue. THQ Nordic, it says, but it's actually called Embracer today, bought Coffee Stain. They basically buy 2 to 6 developers and publishers each quarter. If you go in and follow and read about Embracer, it's a really, really interesting endeavor that they're for. First, we were like, whoa, this is probably not good, but then it turned out to be perfectly good. This is just an acquisition. There was no actual change in management or anything. It's still the exact same people, but it's just something to realize that when you engage with a partner, they might be bought, and then suddenly you could end up dealing with someone else. But it also gave us some new muscles, because they're now part of a bigger family, and Embracer is basically just looking for developers to buy. So if we at some point want to say, okay, let's sell Workship, then we have a very real customer to go to. That's definitely not the case right now. We are not going to sell the company right now, or not in any near future. But at least it's nice to know. So we crossed 500,000 at the end of January, which was an incredible milestone for us. And then we kept doing the discount sale, and we also dared what's called the free weekend on Steam, and that turned out to be a super good promotion tool for Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is a very, very does doesn't fill a lot on your hard disk. It's 2 GB download. So a free weekend where you can just almost instantly drop in turned out to be a really, really good offer. So we've done several of those after that. Then we also started to see the effect of selling paid DLC. We had this supporter upgrade for the game, and when we doubled up on the lucrative stuff in the support upgrade, we more than doubled the amount of people buying it, which led into a business model that we're running now, where we are selling paid DLCs only with cosmetics on the side of selling the game. It's still the main game that is most of our income. But this is a really nice extra revenue stream. So the original deal with Coffee Stain was actually only for the early access part, and we were looking now at a situation where we of course needed to go 1.0, but the game was probably also continue after 1.0. So we actually went in and talked with Coffee Stain and had to do an amendment on the deal, where they also said, okay, let's continue to support you also financially. And this is, of course, even though Workship could finance itself, it just felt fair that the partner was part of whatever risk was involved. And of course, Coffee Stain, they as the nice guys they are, they agreed. Then in October 2019, we put out yet another update. As you can see, it says 25. So now we're just closing in on 32, update 32. So we've created a lot of updates for this game. But this update was special because we went in and focused on the top 10, 20% of our players, those that played the most. And we gave them something really special, a whole new game mode that added a lot of content to the game, but only after you've played it for 20 hours. It was a gamble because we spent a lot of time on this, and maybe we would only benefit the top 10%. But it turned out that this created a lot of interest for the people just moving towards that 20-hour line. Now they had a real carrot in front of them if they reached the holy land of these deep dives. Then a new type of game would open up. This basically doubled all our the metrics on active players, and you can see here we were before and here with the update. And this has just continued. You can kind of get a trend here, and I hadn't updated it, but it's just continuing. And this update proved to us that by creating the right updates for the game, we can grow the game further and further. And we can retain players enough to, and then add new players, and then just expand the player base. So we're starting to realize there's actually a game as a service model here that is extremely viable for us. Then suddenly NetEase came back and said, hey, what about that Chinese game version of the game? And they had created their platform, and we launched that platform in January along with another game from Steam called TerraTech. Sadly, this was exactly the same time as Corona hit. And there was a lot of chaos, especially in China, and everything was just left in shambles. And even though in general games benefited from, especially live games, benefited from Corona. So did we in general. A new platform that starts up did not. So this platform is kind of in limbo, and we are not really sure what's going on it. It didn't really cost us much. It was a gamble. I don't think we will take it again. If I could go back in time and say no, I would probably say no to this deal. But it didn't really hurt us either. Now moving towards the end, in 2020, early 2020, we said, okay, let's release the game in second quarter. Let's plan out what needs to be done before the release. Then Corona hit, and we had to take a hard decision. Should we release while working from home, or was it too scary? Then we realized that we actually had planned out everything so well that we could execute on that. And the scary part was actually post-launch, where we needed to figure out what to do now. So we carried out the plan. And while doing that, we had yet another free weekend on Steam, And in this free weekend, we ended up on 20,000 concurrent players, which was a new record for us and a really incredible milestone for us. And then we launched in May. We got a top banner on Steam. Everything went according to plan. We got a little bit sniped by Halo coming on the same day, but later in the weekend, when people are mostly playing Deep Rock Galactic in the weekends, we ended up at the very top of the global top seller list on Steam, which of course we are incredibly proud of. And again, proof that this game has some really long legs. So that was the journey. I'm sad to say I didn't notice whatever questions you have, although during my chat, but I'll shift back a bit here and see and start picking a few questions. How did you find the streamer? Was it random, or did you contact the streamer? So I added information about our game, just teasers in a lot of random places, basically just shooting with a shotgun and see what sticks. Part of those were some really small Reddit groups. I think some with like really small, but maybe 2,000-3,000 subscribers. And in one of those, this streamer Blitz was lurking. So he contacted me and asked for a key, and of course he got one. He was not the only one contacting, so there was a lot of other much smaller streamers, and we basically just gave out keys to all of those. So yeah, it was kind of random, but I seek the opportunity, you can say. Then Hannibal asks here. Was the experience profile of your team a big help in getting attention from investors? And definitely yes. Somebody called it an unfair advantage, like that we had this veteran team, 6 developers that not only had a lot of experience, but they also had experience working together, most of us. So it was a really strong setup that could remove a lot of the doubt that investors will have early on. The prototype did not do anything for the investors. They had no idea what they were looking at. The prototype was extremely important towards the publisher, on the other hand. What was one of the best, toughest decisions you made in the funding process? I think so. In general, we have this thing that we will avoid taking decision based on because we are in a bad spot with money. So if you are financially stressed, you start taking bad decisions. And sometimes we could feel that early on when money was not secured, and when we know we didn't have enough, then we felt that this is a bad decision. We are only taking it because we do not have financial security. So that's not necessarily a tough decision, but it's a more like a warning sign for a bad decision. We on the tough decisions, that was more when we had Nordisk Film as a real contender in playing for could they go in and be an investment partner. We thought Nordisk Film was a perfect fit for us at that point. It was a really well-suited setup. Mikkel and Martin that runs it, we know them very well, and we could see that could be an awesome collaboration. But the problem there for us was that we had the Capnova investment in, and it looked like that the only way to get Capnova out was to not get involved with Nordisk Film. And that unfortunately costed Nordisk Film their involvement in this at this point. Of course, we had talked with Nordisk Film afterwards. We're still talking with them, and they knew that this is what happened. But that was a tough decision to cut them out because there was a lot of good things there. Did you achieve your creative goals with the project? How to balance creative commercial ambitions? Yeah, so first of all, we decided to do the game as a premium game, and that already there is a very good decision towards making sure creativity is not hit too much by how you want to create your business model for the game. The other part was that we, when we signed the deal with Coffee Stain, we made sure that put in writing very, very high in the deal, the publishing deal, it says that Ghost Ship Games has 100% creative control on this project. And that meant a lot to us, and it's been that ever since, and still is. And yes, we have definitely hit our creative goals and surpassed them, I would say. Balancing it is maybe a little bit harder now, because now we are ventured into the more gray area of selling paid DLCs. These are cosmetic only paid DLCs, but there are still concerns there. How much of this should be in the game? How much should be in the DLC? How do we promote the DLC compared to the game, and so on? So that's an ongoing balance that we are doing.